So, what are some of the core principles of trauma-informed care that everyday leaders could embrace just to make them more inclusive, empathetic leaders?
Sure. One of, I think, the easiest things that folks can do is use something like one of the tools that we use, which is called community meeting. Um, it's a process for starting meetings with either your whole staff or maybe even just one-on-ones that allows you to really tap into each other's humanity. We practice, building emotion recognition skills. And it really helps to build and foster community as well. And it also includes a great way of like setting the agenda in a way that feels like inclusive and so that everyone's voice can be heard. So it starts by asking each other three small questions. First is how are you feeling? And really trying to communicate with one another using real feeling words. Um, a little bit further than good or bad or fine. The next question is, what is your goal for the meeting, for the week, for, our time together, however you might phrase it, right? And so we can kind of hear what everyone's ideas are for what they want to accomplish during that time. And then the last question is, who can help support you or who can you ask for help? So that folks really practice leaning on one another and creating a space where I know that if I do ask for help, when I do ask for help, someone is there to support me. And maybe they can't help me do like the specific task for my job, but maybe they can support me in other ways and being a sounding board, or we can find ways to collaborate.
Um, so I love the suggestion that you said of just you called it the community meeting,
Mhm.
sort of to start off at the meeting, kind of like a check-in, right? Just a
Yes.
check-in on how are we doing as humans first, employees second, but as humans first. I love that. Um, any other super simple actionable things that leaders could do to just show up with a more trauma-informed care mindset? Anything else that you would recommend that's easy?
Sure. Other versions of sort of feeling check-ins are great, like 2-minute things that you just do passing each other, in the hall. That sort of stuff is great. I also recommend celebrating all wins, big or small, privately and publicly, however you can, whether that's like starting an email chain that just says, here's something great that happened this week. And everyone tags on with their other good news and smaller, large wins. Or maybe even creating other more organizational, larger ways to sort of celebrate those wins. If it's like sending some big recognitions or even sending small thank you notes, like there's so many ways to do it. So that's one that's pretty easy. You can start pretty small. Um,
I like the tiny victories because a lot of times we wait until something's been accomplished and then we do a
mhm.
big celebration and then we forget, but it's all the tiny little overcoming barriers, obstacles along the way, the effort that you
Yeah.
put out that often goes unrecognized. And then that's when burnout seeps in, when you feel like, why am I doing this? Nobody cares. Is the end ever going to come in sight? So the tiny little wins, the tiny little victories, the tiny little
Mhm.
efforts along the way. And
It
I
goes
love
way
the
back.
fact that some of these tools that are grounded in like clinical research, um,
Mhm.
I like them. One, because it's been studied. Two, it shows that certain behaviors at work do have a positive impact on your physical and mental health. And I think part of leading now in challenging times, times of change, times of uncertainty, where stress and burnout are high, we do have to lead with well-being and wellness in mind. So again, we can drive performance, but not at the expense of well-being.